Brew, no team has ever come back in the finals after losing the first two at home. But Stephon Castle still oozing confidence. Okay. Maybe not oozing confidence, but certainly confident.
Yeah,
might just not be oozing.
Yeah, I think they're in denial. Not a single person on the Spurs is playing great. And the Knicks are causing that.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Spurs have been either underestimating or, this is something you would say and then point to Gianna and be like, is this a good one? Or sneak dissing the Knicks. Was that a good one, Gianna?
No.
All year. This has been a little forgotten moment, but I remember it stuck in my craw back in December because I didn't need to hear about who's sophisticated and who's not from the 22-year-old French kid.
I'm giving them a second
I think
language.
that was true at that point.
Second language.
I'm giving him a second.
Second
I
language.
grade all of his quotes on a bit of a second language.
He
curve.
does not have any problem. He is a brilliant young kid.
I'm not saying if he's saying sophisticated. I'm saying you're hung up on the word.
No, I think he means.
Feels like that feels like a sneak.
Well,
diss
they were
when he
very
chose
much
a different word.
Brunson-centric at that point, and now they're not.
But so I think that might have been correct then.
Yeah,
but my point is, I don't think they have caught up to where the Knicks are, and I just don't. I think the Spurs, and you guys know how I feel. The Spurs were overconfident going into this series. I thought Wemby was overconfident coming off game one, and not overconfident like it's an indictment on who they are. I just mean literally more confident than they should have been because I think the Knicks are playing better and right now a better team. And I think that Castle, none of them want to admit we're getting beat because the other team is better than
What would you have them say? That's exactly what I want to hear from Stephon Castle or any Spur. I would much rather that and where you really believe and you still have hope than somebody to be up there. And, you would try to hide it, but if they're like, yeah, they're just making us do things. We can't get this. We can't get that. Like, you can't win if you're defeated mentally. And the games have been close enough. Look, I played small college basketball, so I'm not trying to – I wasn't on these guys' level by a long shot.
Yeah, you're close.
But when you play – if games are close, there's no doubt you feel like we're looking at it like, man, 2-0, they're done. I mean, and I'm like, they're mostly done. They are not looking at it that way. They're like, we can beat this team. We can beat them the next two games. We can win the next one. Like, I think that's how it's one thing if you're getting blasted and you have no reason to believe. They've won 6 in a row. Fine, it don't matter. I think OKC thought they could beat the Spurs.
But
they won 62 games. They just beat the defending champs. And they have been close. They've led both games in the last 2 minutes.
Yep, that part's true.
So they have reason to believe that they can win. Now, they chances are they're not. But that's how I want them to think. Isaiah Thomas and I, the legend, were talking before the playoffs began. And I was like, I like the Spurs, but, man, they so young. He was like, that's good. Because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know. Like, they have no idea what they're in for, which means they think they can do the impossible. And so far, they've done more than people thought they could. So that's what I want to say.
I agree, KW, that they should not sound defeated. They should not be like, they're just clearly better than us. But I do think there's a distinction between saying we feel like we gave them that game, and Castle, after the first game, is saying out loud. Feeling was one thing. Saying out loud, we feel like we're clearly the better team, or the better team. I don't know if he said clearly. And if he had said, listen, through the first 2 games, they were better than us. We believe that's going to change. Or through the first 2 games, they imposed their will more than we imposed ours. We believe that's going to change. This feels like it is denying credit to what the Knicks have done. And I think if
I remember correctly, we said in the first block, the Spurs gave that game away.
I thought Wemby's, what is odd to me, and maybe
we don't know if they would have scored.
But what's odd to me is the Knicks have seemed more complimentary of the Spurs post-game than the Spurs have of the Knicks. And that, to me,
it's veteran leadership. The Knicks walk off the court like they lost sometimes. New York going crazy. Tickets are selling for the cost of cars and houses. Wemby, not worried about the Garden
why
crowd.
would he
Wemby at MSG, I think he was talking about going out, but he did go out and was drawing in the park. Wemby at MSG, I think we went to this game in November of 2023. They lost by 21. He only had 14 points, made 4 shots. And then on Christmas, he had 42. That was a good game. But again, the Spurs lost. And then March this year, they lost by 25.
And I was at that game.
And he was at that game.
Yeah.
So 3 losses.
And Al's going to be at this game too.
And Al's at this game.
I will be in the building.
What are your expectations for Wemby in the Garden tonight?
So let me give you this little thing.
Love
when
it.
I think about playing on the road, right, and great players playing on the road, they want that. They like playing in that environment because it gives them an opportunity to shut people up. When you think about Madison Square Garden, it's been the home of role players having some of the most epic nights
Great take. Great take.
ever. So I think that he's going to actually play well.
Love it.
When you play at home, I'm going to be honest with you. When you play at home, there's something to playing at home where, like, the expectation, it's more pressure playing at home than it is on the road. I can speak to when I played for the Knicks. I used to have butterflies every game before a home game, and I played here because I was always nervous. I didn't want to get booed because the Knicks fans will let you have it if you don't play well. Now, in this circumstance,
What would the score have to be tonight for this crowd to boo the Knicks?
I don't think they'll boo. They
60
can't.
to nothing.
I don't think they'll boo tonight. I don't think they'll boo tonight. But there's a pressure to playing at home, and especially to playing in New York City. So I expect Wemby to actually come out and respond and actually play well here. I still think the Knicks will win for my reasons, but I think that those guys as a team will play a lot better. They're away from San Antonio. The family's gone. Now it's just them, and they got to come together, band of brothers, and put their best foot forward out there tonight.
Yeah, look, I think he'll be able to handle the atmosphere because European professional basketball, those crowds are
That's different.
crazy, like raucous. So I don't think that'll be an issue for him. He mentioned the Olympics, but I'm just thinking his European professional history. I mean, I don't really know what to expect from Wemby. I mean, I did not expect him to play as he did in these first 2 games. So I think he'll make an imprint on the game. You know, he obviously had his stretches, particularly in the second game where he played very well. I'll lean toward him playing a great game. I think they're going to win tonight. Now, I've picked them to win the first 2. I'll probably pick them to win like every game.
You'll be right eventually.
right.
Maybe.
But I'm going to say he has a big game, and they can pull this thing out.
So how much of his slow first half do you think was him trying to make sure he had something left for the second half and overdid it? Because that's what I thought. I watched that and the passivity of it, and then seeing what a big punch he came out with in the second half of.
They were close enough.
Right. And again, when I say overdid it, he should have been a little more aggressive, done a little more in the first half. But I think he was, and that was on 1 day rest. This is 2 days rest. Was acutely aware that he has been wearing down, that he hasn't been as impactful late, and wanted to make sure, especially early in the game when it looked like, well, we're winning anyway. Everybody else. I don't think, so here's why I say.
So quickly to your point. They were down 56-52 at half.
Yep.
And if that was his strategy, then you're thinking, oh, this is great. Because now I've got my energy for the second half. We're only down 4. You would think. I'm not saying I think that was his strategy, but if you're right, then it kind of worked in terms of.
And it was they were down 56-52, and that was with the Knicks going on a 5-0 run right before the end of the half. Like they had a 52-51 lead with a minute left in that half, and then the Knicks scored 5 straight. So here's why I say that. I think he knows he has to come out tonight early and be awesome. And I don't think has right now the ability to be awesome for 40 minutes. And I just keep banging that same drum, and I think that we have just a growing trove of evidence that he has not been the same player since the double overtime game. That double overtime game was the most minutes he's played in his career by a lot. It was, and that double overtime game being the first of, for the first time in his career, every other day for 2 weeks. and all of that, and then whatever there is, the emotional exhaustion of overcoming the 3-2 deficit, winning that game, playing in your first finals.
He talked about that.
I do agree with you now on. I mean, I thought in the moment they overreacted, but I think emotionally, Al, it's taken them a while to get over the win over OKC.
And what he did talk about this, but what he didn't say and wouldn't say, and I don't think will ever say, but I just believe to be true, is this was not the reaction, Al, of someone who felt internally, I just made my first NBA Finals. That was the reaction of someone who felt internally, I'm about to win my first championship. I think that young Spurs team, understandably, I guess, viewed the Thunder as that series as the championship, and that this is now going to be, not easy, but not nearly as hard as what we just overcame, and we have home court and all of this, and they have now found out something different. So I could see a scenario where Wemby scores 20 in the first half and doesn't finish with 30. Like that, something of an inverse of game 2, where he has this monster first half and then quiet second half. And the Knicks have shown this piece, KW, there is no deficit they can be, as long as they never get down more than 25.
Yeah,
they will believe they are going to.
It goes back to the Celtics
back.
series. They've done. I think they have 2 20-point comebacks in the last 2 years, right?
Well, no,
it was in that series.
But they were down 22 to Cleveland with 8 minutes left in Game 1 of that series. Yeah.
Joining us now is the voice of Fox Soccer, John Strong. John, welcome back to the show. I've got a very simple question to kick us off. How excited are you for this World Cup to start? I got to ask a few questions. How's your research going? He's calling tons
the
of
heavy
games.
lifting's done, yeah. It's been a month and a half of kind of working around the clock to get ready. We're doing a lot of games. We're seeing a lot of teams. But to the larger point you bring up, I mean, we've been thinking about this for 8 years, since the vote was taken to award the hosting rights. That was the day before the 2018 World Cup. And, being here in the studio in LA, we've got all of our, big star athlete studio talent. They're doing rehearsals. I just passed James Corden in the hallway a few minutes ago. He's starting to rehearse his late night show. You can feel it, and we're going to be down at US Camp tomorrow meeting with Mauricio and the players, and great scenes at Orange County today with how many fans came out. That's incredible. So it feels like it's here. It's incredibly exciting.
Nice.
All right, John, a little something about me. Some would say I have a bit of a gambling problem. I'm someone that says I just, like to have a little something on games. Because of that, I watch a lot of early Saturday morning Premier League, some Sunday morning as well.
Okay.
And sometimes when I'm watching those games, one of the things rattling around in my head is, I don't ever see a goal like that when I'm watching the U.S. men's national team. There's the high quality things that I see. I'm like, okay, that's probably why we have a ceiling in the World Cup. Anthony Robinson's goal looked like as good as any goal you're going to see in any match in any league around the world. I'm less interested in whether or not this was the goal of the year. It obviously was. And more interested in what a moment like that against Germany can do for a team's confidence when they are preparing to play in the biggest tournament that any of them have ever played in.
I think there's 2 answers there. The first is there's a famous old quote from former coach Broussard. He was asked years ago, what makes Clint Dempsey a good player for this team? And he said, well, he tries stuff. He used a different word, but you get my point. And that's a part of it. The players around the world are willing to try stuff, like what Anthony Robinson's doing. He's not bringing the ball down. He's not settling it. He's like, I'm going to hit this first time and see what happens. That's an important part of success in anything, right? Is taking a risk like that. You shank it, you mishit it. He hit that beautifully. And I think the other part of it is the same as Pulisic getting the goal a week and a half ago against Senegal. There's a couple individual guys who have had a long road back to this World Cup. Anthony Robinson had a year and a half of injuries. He said in the fall he wasn't sure if he was going to be playing in this World Cup. Serginho Dest has been injured a bunch. We've talked about Pulisic and his struggles scoring goals. That's what's been so encouraging with these 2 warm-up games, is the individuals who have had moments to build confidence. And that's the biggest thing that's encouraging me about the U.S. team now going into Friday night's opener, is how encouraged they all are and how encouraged the coaching staff is by some of the moments and some of the little performances we've seen in the 2 warm-up games. This camp couldn't have gone any better, honestly, to get them ready for Friday night.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, John, about the last 2 friendlies. People felt like it was important for us to really play well in those. We split with 2 higher-ranked teams in the world. Where's your confidence level for Team USA now versus where it was before these last 2 friendlies against Senegal and Germany?
It's definitely higher, for sure. I mean, these are tough games. They're sort of like preseason games, right? You're making a ton of subs at the half. You're not playing with the same intensity. You're not playing it either as a player or a coach like you would play a regular season or a World Cup game. So you have to take everything you see with a bit of that context. But I'm absolutely more encouraged. I've loved the way the U.S. has played the first 20 minutes of both of those games. The way they're attacking, the combinations they're creating, the dynamism we're seeing from players all over the field, that's been hugely encouraging. Now the challenge is, can you extrapolate that and do that for 90 minutes? And also understanding the opponents the U.S. played, Senegal, Germany, very different than the opponents they'll play in the group stage. Both of Germany and Senegal, they want to play. They want to attack themselves. Paraguay Friday night, Australia next Friday, Turkey the week after are going to be the opposite of that. They're going to be trying to not play. They're going to be trying to obstruct and destroy. They're going to be trying to physically outmuscle the U.S., trying to frustrate them emotionally. So it's a very different type of challenge the U.S. is going to get in these 3 group stage games. But as I said, this was as well just about as this could have gone, that everyone comes in feeling confident, feeling like they have a real rhythm and some real momentum going in.
Once Pulisic scored his goal against Senegal, it felt like one of the storylines that we had been hammering leading up to the World Cup, we kind of put away. It's like, thank goodness the Pulisic drought is over. What other storylines do you have for Friday's game against Paraguay?
I think trying to figure out where Serginho Dest best fits, and in general, who's the danger guy on the other side of the field. Christian Pulisic is at his best when you can't focus all your defensive resources on him. So having a guy on the other side of the field, whether that's a Weston McKennie or a Tim Weah or probably more likely Serginho Dest, that's going to make Pulisic that much more dangerous. I think trying to figure out who's going to set up next to Tyler Adams has been important. Do you want a Sebastian Berhalter in there? Do you want a Malik Tillman in there? And we've seen some of those combinations. And then the other thing I would see, all of our expectations is that Matt Freese is going to be the starting goalkeeper. Well, he's going to be the least experienced starting goalkeeper for the U.S. at a World Cup since 1990. I mean, it really is remarkable how different this dynamic is. And so for Freese, being on the same page with his defenders, he had a couple nice moments against Germany. That one's going to be big. Listen, I think the biggest thing for all of this is there's a bunch of unknowns just because of how the last couple of years have gone. You don't go through the qualifiers. You've had a coaching change. There is an element for everyone here of not being 100% sure what Friday night looks like. And that's part of what I've been saying to people and what I think everyone in our group is in agreement on. This is the most pressure-packed game these guys have played their whole lives, because the opportunity Friday night, if you win this opener, the whole country gets on board.
Yeah.
You kind of breathe a sigh of relief and get that confidence. It's not going to be easy, but the opportunity to start that snowball momentum of what this could be hosting a World Cup, that's the opportunity of winning the game Friday against Paraguay here in LA.
So that's kind of where I want to go with this. In new World Cup format with the expanded World Cup, obviously the top 2 in each group advance, as has always been the case, but also 8 of the 12 third-place teams advance. Some of the folks that have run simulations and done the analytics on it have basically said as following. If you have 5 or more points in your group, you're a lock to advance. 4 or more points, you're about 2 out of 3 to advance. And anything under that, you're potentially in trouble. So here's why I ask you that. What that means is you need, getting a win versus multiple draws is hugely important. What is the game you think, obviously they want to win against Paraguay, but is that the game most likely to result in the 3 points, or would that be Australia in your opinion? What is the game most likely for the USA to have circled as a win, and the other ones maybe take a draw if you can get it?
Well, I don't think you could circle any of these. I mean, and that's the Australians have whipped themselves into a frenzy in the last couple of weeks over what they perceive as just a concerted nationwide amount of disrespect from all of us Americans. So they are going to be up for that game big time in Seattle. I think one of the things that makes this group so interesting is that all 4 teams look at their opponents and go, we can beat any of those guys. We can win this group, no problem. There's a confidence. There's no gimmies, but there's also no games out there where, well, we don't stand a chance against them. There's a weird psychological thing that happens because your point is correct. It doesn't matter which of the 3 you're getting the results in as long as you finish with the points. However, in the U.S. World Cup history, anytime they have won or gotten a tie in the opening game, they've always advanced to the next round. Anytime they've lost the opening game, they've always gone out in the group stage.
Uh-oh.
And that is generally true across history. The vast majority of teams that get a good result opening night tend to advance. Now, sometimes you get an Argentina. They lost their opener at the last World Cup. They won the whole thing. That's the exception. So that's where worry about Australia later. Worry about Turkey later. You got to get at least something out of this. But as I said, I think a win, build confidence, build momentum, get casual sports fans engaged and excited about this. That is of the utmost importance. Not going to be easy because Paraguay is excellent at making life miserable, and they're going to make life miserable for the U.S. in this game. But this is the most sort of must-win thing you can think of, just from a larger big picture standpoint.
John, thank you so much. Have a great World Cup. World Cup starts Thursday on Fox and FS1. Then USA Paraguay Friday at 9 o'clock. Coverage starts at 6. John, good luck. Have a great World Cup.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.